Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. I'm here after seeing Civil War. This is an Alex Garland film who is known for some really good films, I think, in Annihilation and Ex Machina, and some shit in Men, which was one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. I think that this sits somewhere in the middle. Coming out of it now, I'm feeling really positive on the movie. I'm wondering how long that's going to hold up, though. Kirsten Dunst is in this movie. Kirsten. Get it? Deadpool. Anyways, she's really good in this. Really, really good. And this is a movie about America during a civil war. And I was actually kind of concerned because obviously we have a very certain political climate right now. We have seen insurrections. We're coming up on the election. I thought maybe this would be a sensationalist movie. This is a movie that's going to try and capitalize on some of those fears and some of those anxieties that we have right now. And in a way it does, but I think it's also much more, hard to say subtle with this movie, but a little more subtle in that it doesn't necessarily hold up like this is MAGA and this is Antifa and these are liberals and it's the Western Front. It talks a little bit about Florida and they're trying to secede and bring South and North Carolina with it. I don't know what happened to Georgia. Maybe they're already part of it. And that's one of the issues that I have with this film is it doesn't really talk about how we got to where we were. And maybe that's important. Maybe that's, central to the story because it doesn't really want to take a side. And it does that by setting us in the point of view of a journalist crew as they are in, looks like it's New York, some sort of upstate New York. I recognize it because it's right near my neighborhood, right? It's weird watching a movie, or maybe it's cool watching a movie where you can see places you've been, right? Having been to DC, having been down the 15, going through Pennsylvania, these are places that the setting is kind of right around the corner. And it's not big battle scenes. It's not, a massive Civil War sort of thing. We see small vignettes, small snippets of violence. And so it really isn't trying to say, hey, this is how we got it. This is how this happened. It isn't preachy. We do hear at one point that Nick Offerman, who is the president, is in his third term, and he's got kind of a dictator sort of esque idea to him. They compare him to, I believe, Gaddafi, and some others. There's two others that they mentioned that I don't remember. But I think there's a lot of good details as they're traveling through, as you see as you see a car wash that has been converted to essentially gallows, and the water is pooling, that mise en scène, right? That things that you see on screen that are contributing to the story. And in some ways, it's not really any better than, say, a Walking Dead or that sort of thing, a zombie apocalypse. I felt like many scenes in this movie could have been just straight out of a zombie film. But when you see when you see the people, when you see the impact of the countryside and the citizens and the civilians, and you see piles of body, like these things, they're powerful images. And I think that is where this film succeeds. Filmed, it's absolutely beautiful looking. I do wish I had seen it in an IMAX or an RPX because it's loud, it's big. I think that this is one that would have benefited from that extended film or that extended view. The other thing that I would really like to say is that so there's a couple things. One thing is a little complaint that I have here. There's a scene as the Western forces, so that's basically California and Texas, which I can't imagine that they would ever, like in our current climate, California and Texas, how would they ally? Anyway, so they're assaulting the military forces, the U.S. military forces that are still trying to hold them at bay and stop the insurrection, stop the revolution, stop the Civil War. And the Western forces are assaulting a stronghold, right? I'll just say a stronghold. And as they come in, the idea is that the the Secret Service, and the military forces have been holed up here for quite some time as they've been under siege. And they come in and you see just, hundreds of takeout containers and all sorts of things that are all over the tables. And my issue with that, because the story that it's trying to tell is that they've been here for quite some time. However, all of them are empty. They're clean and they're empty. There clearly has not been food in it. And, you know, if this is filmed over the course of days or hours or whatever it is, obviously they can't leave food in it, but God, they could have put some paint or something in there. I do want to go back a little bit to, you know, what we're actually seeing on the screen. I think when we see violence, when we see shootouts, it's effective. It's not long drawn out battle scenes. There's nothing glamorous about any of these battles. I'm not going to say fights because that makes it seem like this is an action film, and it is clearly not. Because, like I said, we are seeing this from the point of view of, I think her name is Lee Harper, Kirsten Dunst, as she is starting to realize that maybe this is her last job, right? Things are starting to catch up with her. She's been the cold, not heartless, but the one unaffected in all these other war zones. But we see that she's starting to unravel over the course of this film. And she brings on, or she doesn't bring on, they bring on this young protege who's starting to see what it's like and wants to live in her world. And I thought that was going to be a major distraction in this film, but it actually was not. I thought it was relatively effective. But I think where this all works is that the sound design in this film is absolutely brilliant. I loved it. When the gunshots pop, they really pop. When you're hearing them in the background, you're hearing them around you. You feel like you're surrounded. I think that they're loud. If you have a problem with loud noises or volume, like, this is not a film for you. The music in this film is absolutely gorgeous. I think that it fits perfectly well. If you go back to, like, you know, an Apocalypse Now, or if you've ever seen the movie Devil's Rejects, the way the music is used in those films to give tension, but, you know, the heighten the violence and the severity of the brutality, like, it's amazing. And any movie that can use De La Soul and Sturgill Simpson effectively in a film gets a fucking gold star from me. I believe Skid Row was in this at one point. There's a section early on the film where there's a riot brewing and a bomb goes off, and there's, I would say, probably 3 minutes of just silence. And actually, I got a little annoyed because my son is next to me with his M&Ms and his popcorn and his drink, and I'm just like, dude, stop, like, shh, right? But that is absolutely fantastic. I love the way that all comes together. I think I'm going to come down on the side that I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it was the political commentary maybe that it wanted to be, but I think it was effective enough in its way. Like, it's not gonna, you know, change anyone's mind or anything like that, and I don't think that's what it's set out to do. It is set out to just show what it's like for the journalist, and what happens if that is not just this other country, this foreign nation that you're out detailing the brutalities and the atrocities. What if you're seeing it on your own home turf? And I thought, you know, very, very effective. So anyway, I went much longer than I really anticipated here, but I come down on the side, see it, stream it, or skip. I think see it. I think that this is a really good movie. This is a cinematic movie. This is a movie that is good to see in the theaters. But either way, it's just, there was never a dull moment. There was never a moment where I thought it was dragging too long. So yeah, I am on the side of see it, and I'm sticking with it. I thank you. I appreciate you all. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you after the next movie.